Thank you.
Thank you, Chandra. And thank you to everyone who is participant in this year's Festival of Faiths. Our subject matter is of critical importance for our day and time, addressing issues of faith and racism. And today, in this session, Truth and Repair, I would like to begin with these reflections that should be familiar to some of us and perhaps for others of us heard the very first time. I am not sad that Black Americans are rebelling. This was not only inevitable, but eminently desirable. Without this magnificent ferment among Black folk, the old evasions and procrastinations would have continued indefinitely. Black people have slammed the door shut on a past of deafening passivity. Except for the Reconstruction years, they have never, in their long history on American soil, struggled with such creativity and courage for their freedom. These are our bright years of emergence. Though they are painful ones, they cannot be avoided. In these trying circumstances, the Black Revolution is much more than a struggle for Black rights. It is forcing America to face all its interrelated flaws. It is exposing the evils that are rooted deeply in the whole structure of our society. It reveals systemic rather than superficial flaws and suggests that radical reconstruction of society itself is the real issue to be faced. Today's dissenters tell the complacent majority that the time has come when further evasion of social responsibility in a turbulent world will court disaster and death. America has not yet changed because so many think it need not change. But this is the illusion of the damned. America must change because its millions of Black citizens will no longer live supinely in a wretched past. They have left the valley of despair. They have found strength in struggle. Joined by white allies, they will shake the prison walls until they fall. America must change. The time has come for America to change. It is the time for our repair. The radical reconstruction of society that Martin Luther King wrote about in the weeks before his assassination 53 years ago. He wrote these words as a love letter to his country, as a testament of hope, even in a deeply broken society, a society convulsing within, tortured without, unable to come to terms with itself, with the unsparing truth of who we have been and are. We are a nation born in violence, and racism is our original sin, a virus, a sickness that festers still. Racism is part of our ideological composition and materialist makeup, mocking the nation's self-professed democratic ideals. With aspirations of who we are yet unmet, promissory notes still unpaid, and the foundational sin of racism all but permanent, there is no road to redemption, recovery, restoration, renewal, in some repair, without our first telling the truth, as Chandra has noted. And once having told the truth about who we are and how we have come to where we are, to tell the truth again and again and again. There are no adequate apologies to be made for what has happened in our past, but only the practice of freedom is what we seek. A freedom that is personal and corporate, individual and collective, that leads to, as Martin said, the radical reconstruction of our society. King's words remind us there are terrible continuities between the present and the past. In some cases, it is very much the case that the past is not yet past. The history of America is filled with racism. It is a racism of fundamental significance that haunts our nation, as we have heard, these ghosts that continue to ravage our national psyche and trample our society's yearning to breathe free. Through it all, Black America challenges our untruths and gives shape to new meanings of life for people of African descent and for all persons who yearn to breathe free in this land. Police brutality, vigilante injustice, mass incarceration, massive wealth gaps, housing discrimination, and the denigrating of Black and brown bodies in every way possible is our nation's truth. Rank hierarchy and raw power have decimated entire groups of people in our land by reason of ethnicity, language, region, gender, sexuality, religion, ability, and more. And this is all a part of our triumphalist story that we do not tell. Until we tell the truth, our land cannot know peace. Truth-telling and repair begins at home. Over these 3 days, you have heard about the reckoning that is before us. We already knew it before the Festival of Faith arrived, but the role for good and ill that religion has played has not always been told so well. Our city and state can rectify centuries of disenfranchisement by doing some very basic things. For example, register every young Black person eligible to vote when they are of voting age at 18. This is not a difficult thing to do, and yet it has become utterly impossible in our society. We can challenge systemic educational inequities by covering tuition costs for our long history of exclusionary practices. Banks, businesses, large and small, higher education, the military, governments, local and federal, all of whom have invested in and benefited from racism. And that means pretty much everybody. All of us have this responsibility. While we fidget and wonder what it is that we can do to make our city of Louisville better, we flounder. Louisville cannot prosper until the West End flourishes. The nation cannot prosper until all of us flourish. In the wise African saying, I am because we are. Louisville deserves our best in creating new landscapes and seeing new worlds, and I regret that I am not there with you physically, but I am so glad to be with you virtually. Our world and city have been shattered by a racism, injustice, inequity, violence, discrimination, and death spiral. There is something better waiting for us in our personal and collective lives. As a people of faith, this is our witness. I invite our audience, along with Chandra, to consider, whether you are live streaming or in person, to consider what will you do over this next hour and beyond of our time. In the name of truth, repair, justice, and love, what will you do to change our city? If you believe in truth and repair, then prepare to be discomforted by what you learn. If you believe in love and justice, then expect to be inconvenienced, because people have been inconvenienced for countless centuries in the name of discrimination, bigotry, and racism. And if you want to see we the people become reality, then there is no recourse than a deep commitment. If we are prepared to do this, we will experience the beauty of our shared humanity together.